Let's move on to drawing number 3, which is called a one-point perspective drawing. Here again, a one-point perspective drawing is coming closer to the way you normally would see things.
I get it.
You may have drawn this in art class before. It's one of the ways in which your eye will actually see an object. And to do that, we first need to start off with a horizontal line. So I'm going to start by making a horizontal line. And we'll label this HL. Now, off in the distance, I want to pick a spot on the horizon with a vanishing point. Just one vanishing point. And everything is going to be coming out towards you in all directions. That'll make it appear as if they seem to get larger and larger. To show you an example of that, let's say we're going to be drawing train tracks. And let's say that at this point right here, we start making up the railroad ties. That's a sad looking railroad tie.
Yep.
Which we'll say is in the foreground. As we look further back, we're going to follow those guidelines. And the tracks will get, the railroad ties will appear to be getting smaller. Actually, the train tracks will be too. And they'll dramatically get smaller and closer together as they get further away. And they'll begin to get to the point where you don't see the dimension of them, and they'll actually be running into each other all the way in the background. Now let's say, well, let's put a couple rails on here. Remember, you can be drawing along with me as I do this. I'm kind of using a grease pencil here,
I'm with you, B. Keep going.
or a dry marker. And the rails will be going back. Now this would be a lot easier if I had a pencil. And we'll be talking about the different kinds of pencils you can use. This is terrible. Not my best work.
Yeah, I hear you, B.
And if we were building this track with a railroad bridge, and let's say that down here at the end, let's go back to another color. Now let's go back to black. Let's say that we're actually standing on the bridge. And at the far end is where the end of the bridge would be. The bridge would be coming out at you like this. And it'll begin to go overhead, like this. And I'm going to go off the viewing screen of the camera, so I'm going to just stop it there. I am off the viewing screen. Okay, and there'll probably be segments along the way that would break it up, and beams that would come down. Even though they're all the same size, they'll appear to be larger as they get closer, the same way the railroad ties are. There may be cross supports at the top. And along the side. My lines aren't too straight today. I'll be showing you tricks on how you can draw straight lines later on. Now we can draw them this way too. And as we get further out here, they would obviously become very large, especially when they're coming up at you. And they'd be a lot thicker. If there's anything alongside the road that you had that may have tracks coming at you from other directions, or telephone poles or trees, they too would appear to be smaller, even though they'd be all the same size. Going off in the distance. So we might have mountains in the background. Where the train was going off to. And if I was to draw more guidelines from the same vanishing point, and we had other things that are coming out, they could also be sent out in the direction, and also overhead, following those vanishing point guidelines.
That's cool.
Whereas you would have a pole that might appear here. Let's change colors. That doesn't look right. The pole that's a pretty shaky pole.
That's still better than I can do, B.
Same poles would come, and again would get smaller and smaller.